Son Robin did a super chat and says, since super chats don't have a goal, can we use it to set a goal for a new computer? I think it's a good idea. No, it's a bad idea.
Boy, oh boy, someone paying for your gaming PC. That sure is a bad idea. DarkSydePhil, you sure got the good ones in that big old brain of yours. Also, I really don't know much about DSP, so I'm sorry if I don't reference all the crazy DSP lore that you might know in this video. I kind of just know the basics. I just saw this clip, and it was really bad, so I'm responding to it.
Some dude did a super chat, and he says, Son Robin, here's Phil's answer. No!
Imagine being this opposed to people paying for your gaming PC. Like, that's what he's talking about. He's saying he won't set a super chat goal for a gaming PC. Like, it's not even your money. It's money people... I guess it is your money if people are giving it to you. But, like, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck. Right? Thanks, Bonnie.
He even knew how I would answer before I answered. He says, but realistically, he can save up by keeping some money aside each month. If there is some extra, the prices are still sky high for PC parts. Yes. Like I told you guys, I will look to upgrade my setup this year. This is something that I definitely want to do in 2022.
Oh, you want to upgrade your setup in 2022, but you're not going to let your audience help pay for it. First of all, you have an audience. That's incredible. I don't understand that one. Second of all, people are offering to make your content better by giving you the money to make your content better. And you're like, no, I don't want to do it. Why doesn't he want to do it? Oh boy, let's find out.
It's time. And by the way, I'm not looking for a gaming computer. I just want to clear the air here. I'm not looking for a gaming rig. I'm looking for a computer that's more modernized than my 8-year-old computer. Okay?
Why not just take your 8-year-old computer and get a new GPU? Like an 8-year-old CPU, an 8-year-old RAM, like it'll do just fine. Like it won't do amazing, but if you want a gaming PC because you're a streamer, you're a full-time video game person, just upgrade the GPU.
More modernized components, more stable. Even though my computer's very stable, I want another stable rig.
My rig is really stable, but I want something really stable. Also, stable and modernized aren't mutually exclusive. Back when I used to stream full-time, by the way. Those were the days. But I used to run a dual PC setup. I had my gaming PC and I had my stream PC. And my stream PC was literally built out of spare parts from upgrading my gaming PC. That shit had DDR3 RAM. That shit had an R3. That shit had a GTX 1050. And you know what? That computer was stable as fuck. Stability and modernization are not mutually exclusive. Not that I would expect you to know that.
Something more powerful so that my CPU is not at 80 to 90% when I'm streaming. Right now, just me running the webcam, okay? My CPU is at 44% usage.
Okay, use your GPU. Like, you know you can encode a stream with the GPU, right?
Yeah, 44% to run a webcam on a stream.
So use the GPU. It's literally an option in OBS. Like, there's literally like a menu in OBS that says, do you want to use your CPU or GPU for encoding?
So can you imagine when I'm gaming and doing everything at once, it's up to 80, 90%. Can you imagine if I tried to upgrade my setup now, what would happen? Like if I got a new webcam, forget it. It would never work.
Now I'm just starting to think about how you make a webcam take 40% of your CPU. Like I'm just spacing out looking at the wall. Like how'd you do that? Like yeah, encoding with the CPU takes more than encoding with the GPU. Yeah, sure. But like now I'm just staring at the wall thinking about how a webcam takes 40%. How the fuck did you do that?
That's why I'm telling you I need to upgrade my setup in order to upgrade any hardware or equipment and even consider doing a green screen.
I mean, yeah, at least you got that one. You should probably upgrade your hardware before you do a green screen. Not sure why you want a green screen.
So that's what I'm looking for. I'm basically looking for kind of a workhorse computer when it comes to encoding, when it comes to streaming. That's what I need. Something that's stable, and also I can upgrade my camera, I can upgrade the setup, and not have it be maxing out my CPU and my RAM use.
Okay, so get a GTX 1050 for, what, 150 bucks? I'll throw it on screen right now. I don't know how much they are off the top of my head. You don't need additional power. You don't need additional anything to run that card. And then encode with the GPU. Problem solved.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I do not care about playing PC games on it. I have both a PS5 and an Xbox Series X. What the fuck do I need a gaming PC for?
Better performance, cheaper games, all the indie games, all the backwards compatible games, all the emulated games, all the PC exclusives. Like, how is this a question?
Right? I don't. And you know what? It was funny.
The fact that you have an audience?
I hate to say it, but, you know, gaming PC is nice, but number one, having to upgrade it so often is bullshit.
What's bullshit is the notion that you have to upgrade it all the time. You literally don't. I'm running an R7 and a 2070. I love it.
And you know it's outdated within like 6 months. It's already an outdated rig.
Here's when the 2070 came out. Here's when the R7 came out. I'm still running these components with no complaints.
In addition to that, there just seems to be more problems when it comes to like capturing and streaming with PC. You know, how many times you go to do something on PC? Oh, the frame rate dipped. Oh, this is freezing up or whatever.
This is something that I actually had a debate with someone about recently. Yes, there are more possible complications on PC. That cannot be denied. Even from a PC guy like myself, it cannot be denied that the consoles have less possible complications than the PC does, because the PC is just a more complicated system. Now, where I will counter that is you have to ask yourself, how much of a problem really are these additional complications? And will you take some additional complications for all the extra benefits of PC gaming? Basically as a little price tag. Hey, you get all these extra benefits, but, you know, every once in a while you got a little hiccup in your frame rate. Every once in a while you got to figure out a little thing here or there. I think it's a worthy trade. This man does not. Also, I paused the video on this screenshot, and I really want to think of a joke to put here, but I just can't. So I'm going to leave the screenshot on screen, and you come up with the joke in the comments.
And it doesn't happen when you're playing on console 9 times out of 10, because it's a completely separate thing. It's not the same hardware being reused, you know?
What? So apparently frame rate dips don't happen on console. I'll give you that the new ones are getting a lot better with that, but you're a fool if you think frame rate dips don't happen on console, or that the console has super rock solid frame rates. But what is this about the hardware being reused? Like, do you even know what you mean by that? Like, do you know what that sentence means? The hardware is not being reused, so the consoles have better frame rate. I don't even know where to start. There's this common notion with console fanboys and just people who know nothing about the PC that like, oh, the PC is running all these background operations, so that means the games perform badly because the PC is doing more things. But do you realize how minuscule these things are? Like, hang on. I'm going to open Task Manager right now. Vanguard trade notification. Oh, I need to uninstall Valorant. Thanks for the heads up, Task Manager. I have close to 100 processes open on my Task Manager right now. I'm using 1% of my CPU, 11% of my memory. That's it. With like 100 processes open. That means I have 99% of my CPU ready to go and 89% of my memory ready to go. If I open a game with all these processes still open, the game performance will not suffer because the game performance takes less than 99% of my CPU and less than 89% of my memory. When you have this much room to spare in your CPU, in your memory, in your machine, running multiple things doesn't bother it. It just drives me insane when people say that the PC has all these background processes. PC's doing all these things at once, so gaming performance suffers. Literally, no, it doesn't. Because the things that it's doing in the background are minuscule. Around 100 processes open right now in Task Manager, 1% CPU.
Okay. So anyway, some dude was absolutely correct.
Smack your lips again, please.
No, right now I'm not looking to do anything with my PC, but sometime this year, probably the earliest I would consider even looking at doing something like that would have to be after tax season. So you're talking after the months of like March, April, when I have to get through the taxes and get to that, file my taxes, pay taxes, etc.
Friendly reminder that taxation is theft. Also, fuck you for reminding me that I also have to pay taxes soon, because self-employment taxes fucking suck.
So anyway, yeah, once I get through tax season and all that shit, that's when I'll look to maybe I could do some upgrades for my stuff, but I can't do it any earlier than that. I gotta focus on, oh my god, I gotta file my taxes and do all that shit before we get to that, okay?
Or have your finances in check and not worry about it. Like, I'm also full-time freelance self-employment. I have been for years. I sympathize. Like, self-employment taxes fucking suck. Since you don't pay taxes throughout the year when you're freelance or when you're self-employed, you have to pay the whole year of taxes at once during tax season. Or you can come up with a tax payment plan, which is, you file your taxes and do like one extra form that says like, I will pay X amount of money per month. And they're just like, I know I just said taxation is theft, and you probably didn't come to this channel for tax advice, but also I'm leaving this in here because it was a godsend when I found out about it, because if you're self-employed and you're dreading the tax season, ask your accountant about a payment plan. It's very helpful.
Okay. Leo Curious says, you may have been exaggerating. You do not need to upgrade a PC every 6 months. I built my computer a year after you got yours. It's just one generation ahead. It's still good. I'm exaggerating, of course. But the point I'm making is...
What? DSP exaggerating? Oh, no.
You buy a console. In general, that console is good to go nearly forever.
Yeah, I'll remember that next time I want to play a game on my launch Xbox One.
Yes, maybe once a console generation, you want to get the Pro version. But outside of that, usually... you're good to go when you buy a console, as opposed to a PC.
I'm sorry, you say you're good to go when you buy a console minus maybe an upgrade in the middle of the generation. Okay, so let's say you bought the new console for $400, $500. You get the upgraded console for $400, $500. That's close to $1,000 now. If you can afford $1,000 on consoles, you can afford a gaming PC. Especially when you factor in all the extra money you're spending throughout all those years on console with the subscription services to play your own games online, and just the more expensive games in general. And maybe the replacement consoles you had to get because one of them broke. Even by the most generous estimates, console gaming is more expensive than PC. And it is not even close to being as future-proof. The fact that you even present this as an option is hilarious.
Regularly, a lot of the times you want to upgrade it, right? Or you feel the need to upgrade it when something's malfunctioning, or, oh man, this game is running at a poor frame rate now because things have changed.
Your game's running at a poor frame rate, so you want to... Oh my god. You just said the consoles were good to go forever. But now something's malfunctioning or you want to upgrade because the frame rate's poor? I thought you didn't care about that. I thought you were good to go.
You don't really have to deal with that on consoles. Here's the difference. When you play on console, the game developer is trying to personally develop that game to run well on the hardware that exists.
Yeah, they're trying. Or in the case of some big name developers, they're kind of trying.
When you're playing on PC, that game developer is just making the game, and you have to adjust your PC to make that game run good.
Wait, play that again.
When you play on console, the game developer is trying to personally develop that game to run well on the hardware that exists. When you're playing on PC, that game developer is just making the game, and you have to adjust your PC to make that game run good.
So when the developers make a game for console, they're doing their best to make it run. When they're making a game on PC, they're just making the game. Phil, do you ever take a step back to just listen to the things that you say? Like, do you, Phil, DarkSide, ever just take a second to think about the stuff that comes out of your mouth?
It's the opposite situation, you see? I prefer to have it, I'm just gonna fucking boot the game and play it and it looks great. I don't have to worry about ever tweaking, upgrading, or fucking around with my shit.
You realize that when you boot up a game for the first time on PC, the settings will be at a certain default, and that default will look perfectly fine. That default will often run perfectly fine. Sorry. What was I saying? Right, default settings. Sorry. You can boot up a new PC game and never touch the settings. Like, that's entirely an option to you. You don't have to change the settings. You can boot up a new game on PC, and that's the end of it, if you really want to. And most PC games will also have, if you really want to get in there, but you don't want to get into the nitty-gritties, most PC games will have, like, graphical quality, low, medium, high, ultra, or custom. Why is that hard? Like, is that not the same thing that a lot of console games now have with, like, performance mode or fucking whatever, graphical mode? Like, it's literally the same thing. PC just gives you more options. And, God forbid you take 2 minutes of your day to make your game run closer to what you want from it. In single-player games, I like to have the graphics turned up, and I don't mind too much about cranking frames. But in multiplayer games, I like to turn the graphics down so I can be a frame rate whore. I like having that option. Do you have that option on console? No, you don't. Let's say the lighting in a game is kind of weird. You don't really like how the shadows look. You're starting to lose enemies in the shadows, or you're losing details in the game because the shadows are too thick. On the PC, I can just go to my settings, I can tweak a couple things, and it's not an issue anymore. You just have to deal with it on console. You're presenting these optional things, these optional features that do nothing but make your experience better. You're presenting them as negatives because you just don't have the brain power to take 2 minutes of your day to fool around with them if you feel like it. Like, what is this? Also, I don't remember what you said that made me remember this, but I am going to install Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Like, I don't know what you said that made me remember this, but I just now remember that I wanted to install Battle for Bikini Bottom because I got it during the Steam Winter Sale, and then I forgot to install it. And I'm going to play that. Again, I have no idea what you said that made me think of that, but thanks for reminding me, I guess. This game's only 6.5 gigs, really? Nice.
There you go. Exactly. Valdic says on console, you know the game's been tailored to run on it.
Yeah, the game's been tailored to run on it, but that's not always a good thing. If the hardware is shit, the game has to be kneecapped to run on it. Hence the launch Xbox One that I brought up. You try playing brand new AAA games on the launch Xbox One, and before you say, "Oh, but Joe, you shouldn't play games on the launch Xbox One. That system's really weak. That system's really bad." Then why are they still releasing games for it? The fact that you shouldn't play games on the launch Xbox One completely invalidates what he has been saying. That is the point.
Or at least it should have been in theory, because a lot of the times it still looks like shit.
Exactly. So get a PC. And look, just closing thoughts. If you want value, I understand why people are going with the consoles right now, especially the Xbox Series S. I've dumped on the Series S before. Honestly, if you just want a decent gaming machine for $300, the Series S really is a good deal. But if you want graphical power, if you want super high frame rates, if you want cheaper games, if you want more variety of games, or if you just want to play games from your childhood, if you want to play games from previous generations at better performance, or if you just want a giant library of games and you don't really care about the new stuff that's coming out, or you don't care about playing the newest games at the highest cinematic graphical fidelity, get a PC. The PC just gives you way more options for what you can do with the hardware, what you can do with the games, the kind of games that you can play. It's just a better option all around. Yes, there are additional possible complications, but they're very small. Once you encounter them one time, you'll know what to do for the next time. And usually these complications take a few minutes of your life. Wow. And again, these occasional couple minute problems that you might encounter, it's a small price to pay for salvation. Toodles.